Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Unplugged Woodworkers podcast. So it's been really cold, like stupidly cold here in the northeast of England. There's been snow on the ground for quite some time now, and I've mentioned this before, but probably a little bit of arthritis in me hands. My hands don't work very well in the cold, so I haven't had a lot of time making. Not that I've got a lot to make. I've pretty much. I've pretty much finished shaping and cutting out all the components for this little unit I'm doing for a customer down south. The unit itself, there's nothing complicated about it. However, the customer was wanting some burning done in it, some wood burning. So on top of it, he actually wanted the emblem, am I saying that right? Emblem of the Hong Kong flag. So to me, it kind of looks like a bit like a flower, kind of. It's not a flower, but it kind of looks like a flower. So just by looking at it, you can basically tell that it's drawn out with geometry. So today I said to myself, it's really cold outside. I'm going to go out. I'm going to get the top of the unit because I haven't assembled this yet. I want to do all the wood burning on it because there's multiple bits of wood burning the guy wants doing on it. So I says I'll get this piece of this piece of timber in this top, and I'll draw the emblem. Now, I was just gonna get all this printed out on a printer. Obviously, I haven't got a printer. I could get use of a printer or get this printed out for myself, but it would be on an A4 size piece of paper. So normally with things like this, I would just take it to like a computer shop, and they would just print the thing out. I'd just like tell them what I wanted, and them clever guys would just sort it out for us. They've got bigger printers and whatever else. But with the current state of affairs in the world, obviously that's a no-go, which totally slipped my mind when I actually I agreed to all of this. But so for about 3 hours this afternoon trying to draw this emblem, honestly, it had my head in bits. Honestly, it was. I don't think I've ever struggled to draw something that much. Something in my head. It was going to be easy. I had a look of it. There was a little bit of data on the internet. I kind of looked. I was like, oh yeah, no problem. It's still not drawn, so yeah, that basically wasted a good few hours. So I also done a video. I was supposed to be doing a video of let me think, chisel playing. I decided against that just because, as I said, I haven't really had a lot of time woodworking, basically just with a cold. Plus, I did have a couple of people ask us quite recently to do a video on dog hole placement, which I did do. I've done a video on dog hole placement. It is quite a tricky subject. For me personally, there's no clean cuts where you can basically say to someone, do it like this and you'll be fine. It just doesn't work like that. And I did actually discuss this today a little bit over Instagram. I exchanged a few comments with Lowly Mountain Banjos because he also uses a Roman Workbench. If you haven't checked him out, go and check him out on Instagram. As I said, he does use a Roman Workbench, so you'll be able to pick up some pearls of wisdom from him. Because because obviously his work is different compared to mine, so his work holding differs from mine, so it's going to be better, if you're using a Roman workbench, it's going to be better to get your ideas from multiple sources. So he's a good one to go for, so go and check him out, go and give him a follow on Instagram. That's Lowly Mountain Banjos, and he makes some beautiful banjos, by the way, so go check him out. So as I was talking to Roller exchanging comments, I thought it would be a good idea to go over the Roman workbenches I have built. Just this past week, there's been I wouldn't say a bit of a hype, but I've had a lot of questions. I've had a few messages, DMs sent to us, messages on YouTube, comments on YouTube, so on and so forth. And when I was exchanging comments a little bit earlier on today, I just thought it would be a good topic just to go over some of the the evolution of my Roman workbenches, if you like. So the first Roman workbench I built, I think I've pretty much, I've talked about it in the past. I don't know if I've went into great detail, but I have talked about it. So I built it on the idea that worst case scenario it would be it would just be a really good sawhorse. It would just be an excellent sawhorse. So I kind of built it on that idea. I also used Sapel. I know I've definitely talked about this Sapel before. I don't know what episode it was on, but I have definitely mentioned it in a podcast. So I got this Sapel, and I have actually still got a little bit of it left, which it possibly might go into the next build. I'm going to have to check out what I can do with what's left over. I don't know if it's going to be long enough for what I want. But regardless of that, that's what I built the first one out of. So the Sapel, it held up really well. For anyone that hasn't used Sapel, it's quite the grain's quite tight. It's not like oak. It's actually quite difficult to split as well. So for anyone that's got a log burner, and you might have some offcuts of oak, kiln dried oak, and you might be obviously burning that for your log burner. So if you take an axe to that, it splits really easy. Oak, it's like stupidly easy to split, unless there's a knot there. So if you do this with Sapel, it can be a right nightmare. So the grain's quite close together. It's quite compact, So I think that worked out really well. So I think to date I have used Sapel on about 4 bench builds. That's including the medium-sized bench build I'd done not so long ago. But it really holds out really well. I mean, the first bench that I made, what I'm talking about now, I think I done that back in 2017. That was my first step into building things on the Roman workbench. So I've still got it. It's still usable. It's seen some action. It's seen some abuse. That's currently around at my mother's house in the shed in the back garden. I left it there basically just to get a little bit of room. I couldn't bring myself to chop the thing up and use it for firewood, to be honest with you. But that's kind of it's still usable. One of the legs is that needs re-gluing and re-wedging. So when I made this, it wasn't long enough. But that didn't stop us, because I've on that bench I've absolutely built all sorts on that bench. I've made quite a lot of money, building and selling furniture on that bench. So I kind of knock it in that respect. But obviously I would have preferred that bench to be a lot longer. The width of it, I think the width was somewhere in the region of 15 to 16 inches. For me, I feel that's really, it's good. It's a good width for me. I really like that size. The oak bench I've got at the moment, I can't remember the size. I think that might be about 12 or 13 inches, and I really don't like the width of it. I spoke about this before, but the only reason I got it was because that was all that was available to us at the time. At the time, the reason I wanted it because I was actually writing a book. I'm nearly finished with the book. I did abandon it, and I was kind of going to go more the route of just video, like do a build video with it, which I'm still going to do. I may still bring the book out because I did actually spend a lot of time on it, and I think there might be a well, I know there's a lot of knowledge in it, a lot of my own experience, so that might be out sometime this year if I pull me finger out and get it sorted out. But I think it might be a good read for those that are interested, in the Roman workbench itself. So back to the bench. So when I'd done the leg joints, I did actually do conical tenons. So when I'd done it, I only had a reamer. I didn't have a cone tenon cutter. The one I've spoke about, the Veritas. I've got like a Veritas tenon cutter / dowel maker, if you like. So I didn't have any of that. As I said, I had a reamer, and that was it. So I pretty much shaped these cones or these conical tenons by hand and eye, and it took us actually quite a long time to do. But it was my first time doing it. I mean, I think I'd done it, and I think I've had 2 failures with the glue, so it's kind of not too bad. I mean, the one that's in at the moment, it just basically needs a little bit of sanding to remove the old glue. Pass the reamer around, maybe a couple of passes, a couple of turns with a brace and bit. Just reapply the glue and knock a wedge into it. It'll be good to go again. That bench was like a bit of a Frankenstein one, to be honest with you. I did try a lot of things out on there. The hole placement on that particular one, or the dog placement rather, that was taken from. It was a bit loosely taken from, because obviously I didn't have the length to go all the way down the bench, but that was taken out of Mortise and Tennant magazine. I don't know if it was issue 1 or issue 2. I can't quite remember, but basically Chris Schwartz wrote an article about it. It was quite a good article. I can remember because they did kind of like advertise it before they published it. So I was like, ooh, at the time, the Roman workbench is really, really interested us. Ever since I've seen pictures of it, it's just grabbed me attention. I really like working on them. And even now, like working out in my shed. I'm stuck in my shed like a lot of the time now because of the weather when I do go outside. But I've got a full size Nicholson bench. It's just lying there. It's covered in crap basically. Like tools and bits of wood, glue, glue bottles. It's I don't dislike not using it type of thing. It's just I always go for my lower bench. It's like it's something about them. I really can't describe what it is, but I just prefer to work on them. I like to be over the top of me work pieces as well. Now I think, to be honest, if I was put in a situation where I had to use like a full size bench, of course I could use a full size bench, but I think now I would find it more awkward. I'd probably end up climbing on top of it, to do like a lot of stuff, probably. But yeah, like I say, ever since I seen one, I really liked it. So yeah, so the hole placement anyway, if you want to check that out, it is actually pretty decent hole placement. I can't quite remember where Chris Schwartz got the placement from. I think that was one of the examples. I don't know if because he's obviously delved into a lot of the history. There was a Herculean one. I think that one was pulled up from a well, I believe, or there was a low bench that was pulled out of a well, like a water well. It was all like there was like some crazy twisting on it and stuff. But as I said, he's delved right into the history. The one now that I'm talking about it, it might actually be something to do with the low benches in Estonia. Maybe. Regardless of that, the dog placements, the holes, they were quite good. I can't knock it. Just personally for me, obviously, I try every time I build one of these benches, I try to make it better for myself. I try to make it more user friendly for me, for my work. What I tend to do, because my work doesn't differ a lot. I mean, anyone that follows us on Instagram, they'll kind of know. It's kind of a lot of like square stuff. It's like a lot of house furniture. Like benches, coffee tables. Obviously, I've made a few chairs, bookcases, chests. It's very. That's like the sort of stuff I do. So you can get a rough idea of the size, and you can get a rough idea of the thickness of the material I do. The same again on the video. I do talk about this. When I'm planing, when you're considering putting the dog holes in. So when I'm planing, my dog holes are like positioned to accommodate 21mm thick material, because that's what I use a lot of, and I do explain this in the video. So don't get us wrong, on that bench, the dog spacings, they did accommodate that, but as I said, I just tinkered with it. I can't really say that it's better, to have it that way, or better to have it the way I've got it now, because I've always made it work for me. So yeah, I think with this bench I'm working on at the moment, the oak bench, that's kind of the dog placements in that are kind of I kind of find myself using, like, there's certain ones that'll pop up all the time, they'll pop out to us, and I just use those dog holes like more than other holes. So I think that's been like a what's the word I'm looking for here? That's kind of happened from the first bench. There's always been holes that I've used more, so those have kind of like come with us through the evolution of the bench. Obviously, I've experimented a little bit, added extra ones and whatever else, but there is predominantly about maybe half a dozen that I do use like day in and day out, and I wouldn't be without them. The positions of them. So in the first bench, the notches, I did talk a little bit about this in the video. The notches, there was one that I put in what I would identify as the front of the bench. So this was absolutely excellent. So as you know, I do use a Japanese, same again if you follow us on social media or whatever, you'll see that I use a Japanese saw quite a lot. So with us having this notch at the front of the bench, when you use a Japanese saw, you take it towards the ground on a diagonal, or straight vertical. So with it being at the front of the bench, the the handle of the Japanese saw, it wasn't hitting the bench. Obviously, because I'm on the outside, there's nothing in my way. Whereas where you've got the notch on my current bench, or where I've got the notch on pretty much I've had the notch on all the benches. Obviously, to a degree, depending on where the notch is, it can be a hindrance, because obviously the handle will hit the bench. So that was really good. The only issue with that is that because you're using a wedge to tie or to wedge it in, basically, it pushes the grain apart. So basically, that starts just creating cracks, which it did, unfortunately. The same happened as well with the notch that I actually put on the side. So the notch that was on the side of the bench, that was running with the grain. That kind of, I had that too close to the front of the bench as well. So, basically after however long, it just started to crack. So, I put screws in this, like big lag screws. I think I put some dowel in it as well, but over time it just started happening again, and I just stopped using it. So basically I had to shift the notch to the other side of the bench, and I had to shift it like further down the bench as well, to make sure it wouldn't spread out as easy. So it just goes to show you the type of pressure you can get with a wedge. Bearing in mind what I've just been talking about at the start of this episode with Sapel, because it's obviously the grain is pretty tight, so it doesn't split easy. So just to give you an idea of the kind of force that can be generated. So it's not to be shunned, this type of holding system, because once you put a wedge in that and it's got a hold of the wood, it ain't going anywhere. It's unless you've done it, you'll not know the sort of power that I'm talking about. It's mental. Some of the grab power. Sometimes you've got to be careful not to hit the wedge in too much, because sometimes you just can't get the thing out on it. It's a total nightmare sometimes to get it out. So now I'm quite mindful not to hit the wedge in too hard. Just that's just goes to show you the type of wedge power that you'll get, holding power rather. So with this one as well, the first one, I also tried to kind of add a shooting board to the end of the back end of the bench, and basically I just created a bit of a rebate on the end of it. And I thought at that time, yeah, it'll be a great idea. I'll use it as a shooting board, to get all my end grain all nice and square and stuff. And it just it didn't work. It was just more of a hindrance than anything else. It wasn't getting the pieces nice and square. Everything was done correctly, or at least I thought it was. It was when you put a square on it, it was exactly 90 degrees. It just didn't physically work that way. I can't really remember the ins and outs of it. Like, I just know it didn't work, and I abandoned it, and it kind of just, that was it basically. I think I have tried a few other things out on it. I can't really think of anything to mind at the moment, but it's kind of a bit of a Frankenstein bench, that one. It's if I come up with any great ideas, that one normally gets it. Yeah, it normally gets punished, that one. So I'm going to move on to the second one, because I'm babbling on a bit here. So where am I? The second one was made from what did I make it from again? That was just regular construction timber. There was a 2 9x2s, so 9 inches, 2 inches thick. This is just it's just construction lumber. It's really light. It's basically spruce. What it is. So my idea behind this was to kind of like get it nice and make it nice and cheap. Make it kind of readily available for for anyone, because at the time, I was thinking to myself, like kind of show what's possible, like, what you can make one of these out of, just to get people away woodworking, because, there's still a lot of people now that want to woodwork and they just can't, they're under, constraint. Some people it's money, and they just basically haven't got the money to go out and buy, like, expensive, like, hardwoods. Or some people are just constrained, by the room. Same again, if you build a room and workbench, you can actually use it in apartments, balconies, places like that. And they also double up as like seating as well, so it's pretty cool in that sense. Whereas if you've got something like a Rebu or a Nicholson, you can take the Nicholsons apart. I mean, but the Rebus, I mean, like, I can't remember the weight of an average Rebu, but it's it's a big lump. You often see them being you often see the tops being lifted onto the bodies, with like mechanical means. Basically, they're that heavy. I mean, I have heard in the past of some benches being like £400, £350 and stuff. It's absolutely crazy, some of the weights. I understand why they've got them that way. It's kind of, they ain't going to move anyway. All the planing and all the chiseling, sawing, it's going to be solid. It isn't going anywhere. So I do understand why. But like I said, some people have constraints. So with this one, I used round tenons. I didn't use conical tenons. They work quite well. I've done this a couple of times, so you don't really have to do conical tenons. I think probably now it's just, for me personally, it's just easier. I'm so used to doing them now. I can use, I use a draw knife, rough them out, and then I jump onto a spoke shave, and then a tenon cutter. I can do them, make a conical tenon pretty quickly now. So that's my preferred method. But as I said, with this one, I basically just around tenons and just wedged it. I used Sapel because I had like a lot of Sapel offcuts, so just basically sawed them down square. I think these were the thickness what I was using. Even the thickness for the first bench, I think it was around like 45, 48 millimeters. So, it's kind of not ideal, to be honest with you, just because the thicker something is, if you're using it for the top, it does tend to be better. But then obviously there's other problems. There's problems of picking the thing up and taking it outside, if that's what you want to do. Now that's what I'm always going to do. For me, these benches are solely made able for me to basically still be able to pick up and carry it outside and into the garden, and they'll probably stay like that, for as long as I make them or as long as I use them. I can't see myself changing. Obviously, when you get them onto the grass, they don't move about. However, if I use one of those benches in the shed, they've just got like OBS. It's got OBS floor in the shed, so that can be quite slidey at times, especially the sawdust on the ground and stuff. So you can overcome this with like a yoga mat. A yoga mat works really well, to stop them from going round. But as I said, so the material was about 45, 48 millimeters. Sapel again. I actually braced these legs up. I think I had some European redwood lying around, so I just basically cut a length for that. I think I screwed it into place and just, took me saw, flushed it either side, at the angle, whatever angle it was. So I think most of the legs I've put in, bar the oak one I made, they've been like, the sight lines have been like 38 degrees. It's a good angle. So, if something's good, I don't tend to screw around with things like that too much, because it's just too complicated, all the figuring out sight lines and angles, and just boggles my mind. So if something's good and it's not interfering with anything, I just tend to leave it alone. Although, as I said, I did like mess around with it a little bit. with the Workbench. I cannot remember the angles I used for the Workbench, but it didn't really make a great deal of difference, to be honest. So pretty much just the same with the notch. Obviously I learned my lesson, brought the notch back. I can't remember the exact size, but it was just back enough not for it to split. The dog holes, I didn't put a lot of dog holes in. I put like minimum dog holes in. I think there might have been in total maybe 10 dog holes in it, if that. Because obviously at the time I done it, I was already aware of the fact that I should basically add them as I need them. It just made sense then to add them as I need them. So yeah, as I said, there wasn't many in. The issue with this bench, I'm guessing because it was spruce, and spruce is very well known to warp. It's notorious for cutting, for twisting, for bowing. So this thing just like it twisted like stupidly. So rather than messing around with it, I just abandoned it. It's actually still lying in it's actually still lying in the back garden, looking very sorry for itself in my mother's back garden. That one does need chopped up and used as firewood. Unfortunately, that one another thing. I knew it was going to be lighter than obviously the Sapel because it's a softwood, but I think probably that one was a bit too light, possibly. So, and also it was a lot wider. I think it was like just under 18 inches. That one, I didn't use it a lot because obviously it just twisted so quickly. I basically got the wood. I think it was a summertime when I made it as well, so it was just with the heat and it just twisted really bad. So if I had have took the twist out of it, the twist was so bad. If I had have took it out, there would have been next to no thickness. I'm talking the thickness would have been somewhere in the region of maybe like 30, 33, 35 millimeters, and that's just not thick enough for me. For a Roman workbench, it's just so basically I had to abandon it. So the third bench I built, that was Sapel. So I went out and I actually bought the Sapel for this one. I was fortunate enough at the time. I was working. I was making decent money at the time. So I went out to a local, they're like a builder's merchant type of thing, but they do stock bits of hardwood here and there. So I got the Sapel. The Sapel, I think it was about 16 inches wide, close to 2 inches thick. So it was perfect. There was minimum work to do on the top. So that was pretty cool. With this one, it was a Conical Tenons again, but I didn't actually glue these. I pretty much just left them loose, and I've still got the bench. It's obviously the legs are out of and it's tucked away, so that's pretty cool, that one. I can't really remember the placement of the dogs with this one, to be honest with you. It's actually been quite some time since I've looked at it. But I do like the fact that I didn't glue the legs. The only issue is that when you're actually using the bench throughout the course of the day, you maybe get a couple of hours into the day and the tenons will work themselves loose. That's using them on grass and mud basically. So obviously when you're using it, it's actually digging itself into the mud, so basically the longer you use it, the more indentation you're getting in the mud, so it kind of allows itself to rock. It starts rocking and moving a bit more than it would on on a solid ground, and I think that's what the issue was. So I've never really tried to use it on like like a more solid ground with a mat, so I'm kind of not sure what it would be like. I also think that if the top itself was maybe like about 3 inches, you wouldn't have any issues with that, obviously, because it'd be more of the conical tenons, there'd be more meat basically holding it in place. But having said that, I kind of complain, it's still really good. If I ever need to go anywhere, that thing just, goes into the back of my car. I haven't had the opportunity to take it anywhere, but that's what would happen. So that's pretty cool. So the notch, pretty much in the same place as what it is on my oak. I think that's like about 14 inches down. I really liked the width for this one. It was a good width. Really liked it. I think to be honest with you, I would have still probably been using that bench rather than my oak one if it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to basically build the new oak one for the book, and basically I wanted to add a shave horse attachment to it. That was a pretty good bench. As I say, I've still got that bench. So the next bench is the oak bench. So as I've already said, I wanted to build this solely for the book, pretty much. Although I was curious to basically add a shave horse attachment. I really wanted a shave horse attachment. I could have done something with the Sapel one. With it being so wide, I probably would have had to have come up through the centre of the bench, and done that sort of style of shave horse attachment, which it wouldn't have been a great issue. But I will say the shave horse attachment that I made for the oak one, it's super easy, it's super simple. I mean, if you're curious, go onto my YouTube channel and check out How the Roman Workbench Works Part 2, and I do like kind of showcase it and show you like how it sets up, and like, I talk about it briefly. But, that is kind of cool. As I said as well, it's not as wide as I wanted it. That really annoys us about the bench. The length, I love the length of it. It's just a nice length. I can't even remember. I think it's about 6 foot the length. It's a really nice length. I can basically be like doing two things on it. I can have like two setups if you like, which is pretty cool. There's the notch on it. I've actually done it on the what side would that be? On the right side from what I would identify as the front. It's kind of feels a little bit awkward to us. I think probably on the next build, I'm probably going to do one on the left side, or I might even do the two. I might have them in line or maybe offset. I haven't like totally made my mind up about that. But yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a shame that I couldn't get anything wider. But as I said at the time, I was so eager to get it built, get the pictures, and like at the time I was just writing so much. This book was writing itself at the time, so I thought, just go ahead, get it, do it, and I can basically just alter the plans, because I was going to do plans for it and everything. And I just thought, I could like alter the plans. But I still feel I need to do one, like a wider one, at 6 foot long. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it anytime soon. Although I have got some of that Sapel left, but it's not going to get us to 6 foot, unfortunately. So yeah, I might have to hold off on the plans, because there is actually people that ask us, have you got any plans for sale there? That I've had quite a few people queries about that. So that's probably going to come to, I'm probably going to end up doing some plans in the very near future. So Um, Dog placement in this one. This is as I said on the video. There's like kind of no. There's really no like sort of like pattern to it, if you like. All other than the fact that there's 3 rows, and the 3 rows run so far down the bench. That's the only kind of pattern you'll see in it. Really, there is like a couple of sections where they are going like they'll meet in line like going 90 degrees across the bench, but other than that, they're kind of all over the place, or what looks like they're all over the place. But obviously, I've put them there specifically for tasks that I do on a regular basis. So if you check the video out, I think it's pretty close to the end. I'll actually get I get my camera, and I basically walk up the bench with like kind of a bird's eye view, pointing things out and explaining a few things. And you get to the top, and it's just like a mass of like holes. It's like it looks pretty kind of not in order, if you like, but I kind of know what they're there for, and I know what they do. So I might, obviously, when I do the next build, I might try and refine that a little bit. There's definitely going to be some holes I leave out, because there's holes there that are basically redundant that I don't use at all. So there's definitely going to be holes I'm going to leave out. There might be an extra notch I add into it as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. Obviously, with it being so wide, I'm going to have to take the shave horse attachment through the centre, so it's going to be kind of like a new shave horse attachment. I have been looking at a few designs, so I'm probably going to be stealing a few of people's designs and like mashing them together, probably. I have had a few thoughts about this today, so that should be pretty cool. As I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this new bench as long as I want it, basically. But it should be pretty cool. So I'm getting close to my time, but I'm going to quickly, if I can, I'm going to quickly try and go over the 3-legged bench I've done. So very quickly, the 3-legged bench, same again. It was done out with the Sapel. It wasn't very long, but obviously I couldn't make it very long because it's only got 3 legs and it was wide. So I did actually nail a rail across the 2 front legs to actually add a little bit of support. Not that it kind of needed it; it would have been all right without. But a nice little thing. And this is a thing I'm going to explore as well in the future, is that little rail is absolutely beautiful for putting your planes on. Your planes just go very nicely on there. I think there's pictures on my Instagram. Have a look. You'll see what I'm talking about. So with it being 3 legs, it's actually like what a tripod will do. Anyone that knows what a tripod will do will find its own like level, because there's only 3 legs, so it doesn't rock it when it's on uneven ground, which is absolutely excellent. The bad thing about it is the length I've got it may be like just 4.5 foot. That needs to be brought a little bit shorter. Basically, just because when you put your weight on like close to the 1 leg like section, it is prone to tip. So obviously, if I shorten the length, it's going to be less prone to do that. But it is actually pretty cool. If you check out my coat hanger video, I do actually use it on that. I don't think it's all the way through, but I do use it quite a bit. So just to show you, it is possible to use like a 3-legged Roman workbench, basically. But I haven't really put a lot of dog holes in that either. I think there's about 5, if that, 5 dog holes in it. There's a notch in it, pretty much the same place as the rest of the notches there, the last couple of benches that I've talked about. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really close to my time now, guys. So again, if anyone's, I've been asking people, if anyone's interested, leave a comment and let us know what you think about me doing a Roman workbench build. I have already asked this on YouTube, so let us know. Leave a comment in my social media or something. Let us know if you'd like to see like a build, and I'll try and get on with a build. So I think that's pretty much it. So thanks for listening, guys. Until the next time, I'll speak to you later.